How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good like you.
Good, good. So, what part of India are you in?
I'm from Telangana, South
Oh,
India.
okay.
Yeah.
You asked me which states I was in. I didn't know the names of the states, but as you can see, I've been to a lot of cities there.
Okay. Can you please put your camera more straighter so that I can see you clearly? Yeah. Yeah. This is good.
That
Yeah.
better?
Thank you.
Can you hear me okay? Do you need headphones?
No, no. I can hear you, but if you put camera more straighter so that people who watches this video can see you clearly.
Okay. All right. That good?
Yeah.
Good.
So a little more straighter. Yeah. This is fantastic.
Okay.
So, can you introduce yourself to my audience?
Sure. I'm Ann Crawford. I'm an award-winning best-selling author. I have 6 books up on Amazon and more on the way. One's being shopped in New York right now. So lots of stuff going on.
So, firstly, I want to thank you for accepting my invitation and allowing me to talk with you.
Sure. My pleasure. Thanks for asking me.
So, what are the books that you published?
Well, I have 6. And what I do, my specialty is deep and funny. So they're not like just they're very funny, but they also go really deep into like spiritual and thought provoking things. So I have one called Fresh Off the Starship, and that's about a star being who is supposed to end up in Washington, D.C., but she ends up getting diverted to Kansas. So that's Kansas is a little boring, or it could be. Um,
Okay.
and then another one I have is called Life in the Hollywood Lane, about an actor trying to make it in LA and her best friend commits suicide. And it sounds like a real downer, but it's not. It's actually very funny, although it also travels the journey of grief. So both roads at the same time, funny and deep. And then I have
Okay.
one called Spellweaver. I'll start showing them to you. Um, and that's about a woman during the witch hunts in Scotland in the 1500s. And that one, it has a few funny moments, but it's really mostly just deep. I mean, it's hard to make a witch hunt funny, but then this one is Angels on Overtime, which is the biggest comedy of all of them, I think. And then there's Mary's Message, which is about Mary Magdalene and with her life with Jesus. And that has some funny moments, but again, that's not quite as funny as the other ones. And then I have one called Visioning, about how to manifest the life of your dreams. So those are the 6 I have up. And then the
Okay.
next one is Wild, really wild. The one being
Which
shopped.
is which
What's
is
that?
which is not yet published.
It's not yet published. I have an agent that I'm working with, perfecting it. I just sent in my last round of revisions, so that's exciting.
All the 6 books have 6 different uh, genres.
They do. I have my own genre. It's kind of hard to come up with keywords even because they're spiritual, they're funny, they all involve a love story. So they're all over the place. But a few of them can be in the genre of women's fiction or contemporary fiction.
Okay. So, all your stories are fictional.
Yeah, except for Visioning. This one's the only nonfiction, but all the others are
Okay.
fiction.
How much time you take to write a single book?
Well, it used to be just maybe 4 to 6 months to write a book because I was working full time, so I could only write part time. And now I'm writing full time. And this last book I wrote took 9 months full time because it had to be a certain way. And she kept walking me through, okay, do more backstory, more exposition. Okay, you have enough exposition. Now we need more action, showing motivation. So that one took 9 months of writing.
Okay. A- And what are the responses that you got for your books?
People love them. I mean, they have pretty high ratings on Amazon and Goodreads, and people laugh a lot. And they're not for everybody because, like I said, they go really deep. And if somebody wants something really on the surface, my books probably aren't for them. But if they want something a little deep without being, like a drag or anything, they're fun. They're fun.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. I lost the connection.
Okay.
Yeah. So you was telling that you wrote books on funny, which contains the funny things and which contains a love story and which contains the another one you said is non-frictional. So I'm sure you will be having great imagination to write all this.
Oh, yeah. A lot of authors say this. Their characters come, and my characters come, and they won't leave me alone until I've written down their story. Like they knock on the shower door, they show up in the car in the passenger seat. And I mean, like for this book, this one was really hard to write. I mean, about a witch burning, that was hard to write, and I didn't want to write it. And the character, Catriona, would not leave me alone until I'd written it down. And other authors say that too, that their characters come and appear in their lives and don't leave them alone until the story's written. And I saw a meme the other day that said, some people have voices in their head and they're called crazy. Other people have voices in their head and they're called authors.
So have you, I mean, all the characters that you created are fictional, and when you're sleeping, you got those characters in your dreams.
I don't know if they come in my dreams. They come more when I'm awake and just chatter and say, okay, write this down, write this down. And I always have my phone with me, and I'm always writing down things that they've said to say. So people say, are your books channeled or something? And I don't call them channeling. I think what I do is download. Just, it comes to me. Stephen King, somebody asked him, where do you get your ideas? And he said, well, if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. And I thought, well, that's really rude. But he also was giving the answer, which is that he didn't know where they came from. So, like, I'm in good company. Stephen King, I don't know where they come from. They just come from a place bigger than I am.
So can you tell me something which you didn't wrote till today?
Today?
I mean, yeah.
If I told you what came through today, it would make no sense. It was something that my husband and I were talking about last night, and so one of my characters could say this. It doesn't
Give
matter.
me.
Go ahead.
Sorry for interrupting you. I think I'm getting your visual is not good. I'll disconnect the call and I'll call you again.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah, my question, I asked you a question and you was answering my question.
Oh, what came through today? It's not going to make any sense. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is because whatever it is, you'll do whatever you do. I mean, it makes sense in the book and with those characters, but just telling you that, and it's like, well, that sounds a little strange, probably. So the next book I'm writing is about 3 generations of women, and one of them is trans. You know what that is? And so 2 books have come out lately. Well, American Dirt, there was a whole big brouhaha about that because it wasn't written from the point of view of somebody who lived what she was talking about. And also, J.K. Rowling has started this whole row with transgender issues and stuff. So my book, I did a lot of research, a lot of conversations, a lot of living the story. So it's just interesting how people's perceptions are.
So your next book name is Three Generations Woman. You'll be explaining about 3 generations woman.
Right, right. And it's called Bazoomerangs.
Okay, okay. So what kind of research you do for this?
Lots of conversations, lots of talking to people, like people in the trans community and parents of people in the trans community and what they're all experiencing. So, and then lots of research online.
Okay. So you'll be collecting all the perceptions and you'll be uh, understanding the perceptions and you'll be writing your own perception on it, right?
Right, right.
Okay. So what is your perception?
What is
That I
what?
have. What is your perception?
Well, mainly my perception is what other people want to do is none of my business. As long as they're not hurting anybody else, I mean, whatever people want, it's fine with me. So,
So what kind of books you want to write in coming days? On which
um,
topic?
I have a couple of sequels in mind. Like I have a sequel to Fresh Off the Starship, where the star being does end up going to Washington D.C. and I haven't really decided what I'm going to do yet, but she's going to have an inside view of how politics really work. So I won't go into it too much here, but it's a behind the scenes of like what the president is allowed to do and what the Pentagon does and things like that. That should be interesting.
Are you good in writing?
Yeah. Very good.
How many marks will you give to yourself as a writer?
How many what?
How many marks out of 100 will you give to yourself as a writer?
Oh, well, there's always room for improvement. I would say, um, I'd say with this latest book, where I was really walked through the process of making it much better than I started out, um, I'd say I'm up to in the 90s. I've read other books by authors, published authors, that I would put in the 50s. So I think
Okay.
mine are pretty good.
So you're giving 90 to yourself as a writer. So the people who buys your book and what kind of response they give? Do they say that I connected with your thoughts, I connected with your story, and I connected with what you are saying? Do
Yes.
you get this kind of response for the book that you sell?
Yeah, most of the people who leave reviews or respond to me tell me that they love my stories. they think they're more profound than the usual stories. And the people who don't like them, and I do have a few people who've given me really bad reviews, they were like, I didn't get it, I put it down. Well, like I said, my books aren't for everybody, so not everybody's going to get them. And some people will put them down. But for those who don't put them down, they're really wonderful books. I get a lot of really great fan letters.
What made you to what made you to write things? What made you to explain things? Why you wanted to show your writings to the world? What is the
Well,
reason?
sometimes people ask me how long I've been writing, and I say ever since I could hold a pencil at age
Okay,
3. So it was
okay,
just something that kind of came with me. That's who I am. And my mom was very, very sick when I was little, and she ended up dying when I was a teenager. But she would read to me and hold me on her lap with these big picture books and everything. And those were very special times to me. So books have always had a very magical feeling to me. And I wanted to share that magic as best I could.
so you're a magician.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
So I mean, can I get the negative emotions if I read your book?
Can you get negative emotions?
Yeah.
Well, some of them are sad, and some of them, uh, like the witch, like this. I mean, this involves a witch burning and torture. So, I mean, that's not the most pleasant thing to read, but it's part of Earth's history that happened. It's part of humanity's history that things like that happen and still do in some places. And the more we know about that, the more we can combat it and hopefully
Okay.
never let that happen again.
In the beginning, you said that you provoke people with your writings, with your words.
I provoke? I guess I
Yeah.
provoke. Yeah, I do. I do.
So how intense you are? What the percentage of your intensity uh, while provoking people?
Well, I do like to make people think and consider things in a new way, but I do it in a friendly, funny way that actually can get it in deeper. A friend of mine wrote to me or called me recently and said, "You magician again." She said, "You
Wow.
are just a magician with the way you use humor to get points in." So that was good to hear.
I have a question.
Okay.
What is the connection between fear and humor?
Huh. That's a great question. Well, humor is a relief to, like, we're going through such an intense time right now on the planet with this pandemic and the protests here and stuff. Humor is a release and a relief um, to the fear that we're going through. I remember hearing right after 9/11, a bunch of comedians were saying that they felt kind of guilty for what they do, just making people laugh at a time like this. They should be first responders. That's something really meaningful. And I thought, oh my God, don't stop what you're doing. We need to laugh now more than ever. Being a comedian or, writing funny stories, it's not as important as being a first responder or a doctor or something like that right now, but we do need the storytellers and the humor makers and those types. I was doing stand-up comedy until the pandemic kind of put things on hold for a while.
Your smile is good.
So is yours. I was just thinking that. Smile.
So when you are writing something, when you are explaining your feelings and your thoughts, where you will sit, I want to know the environment. I want to know where you will, which place you select to write or explain things.
I'm sorry, could you ask that again?
My question is where you will sit and write your book.
Where do I
The
sit?
place. Yeah, the
Right
place.
here, right where I'm
Yeah,
sitting.
yeah.
All these
Okay,
lights behind me. I call it my writing nest. And I look out in the
okay.
backyard, there's a garden and a whole bunch of trees and rabbits, and so it's very
So is it important for a writer to have a good place to write?
oh, yeah, yeah. And the most important thing for me is to know that I'm in a place where I won't be interrupted, where I can shut the door and get into this world and have nothing interrupt me. That's the most important thing. Because if I have a feeling somebody's going to walk in or something, I can't get into that deep place I need to go to write. And now, the kids are grown. It's just my husband and me. And he knows if that door is shut, don't go near it. She's writing. Big work is taking place.
To create a impact or to create a particular emotion, you have to say something which they don't know.
Right. Yeah.
So to say something which they don't know, you have to do research.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, for the current book, like I said, the main form of research was talking to people who are living the particular experience that I'm writing about and seeing what their perceptions are and their viewpoint and the kinds of things they've had to go through that I haven't had to. But that's the other thing. That's what writers do. We bring people to the reader that they might not otherwise meet, and we take people places they might not otherwise go. And we might not have been those people or been those places, but we can research and bring those places to people. Like like I could write a story about somebody on another planet, and I haven't, that would have to be totally made up. So,
So can you, if somebody asks you, some personality asks you to write a book on something which can create violence, which can make people to fight with each other, will you write? Do you have that capacity to write something which makes people to fight with each other by reading a book?
yeah, yeah. It's not as easy as a story that just comes to me. When somebody else asks me to write something, it's harder than writing my own stories, but I can still do it.
Are you a psychologist?
No, no.
You write about human beings or about every creature which is living on this planet?
Mostly human beings. I mean, one star being, one alien, one ET who's living here. Well, actually, there's more than one in the book, but don't say. But it's, I don't write from the point of view of animals or something like that, if that's what you mean. Of course,
Okay,
every book has animals in it.
okay. So, do you think that the fictional stories creates impact or the real stories create impact?
They both do. They both do. When somebody writes a story of their own experience going through it, nothing really beats that. That is really powerful. And writing a fictional account of that can be almost as powerful, I think. So, I mean, like, take a rape. Somebody who survived a rape has a lot more clout talking about it than somebody who didn't. And so I have a couple of books that have rapes in them, but I never experienced that. So I had to talk to people about it. That's an example of somebody who actually lived it can be a lot more powerful than somebody who didn't, who's just talked about it.
Can you write with your vocal cord? Are you good in writing with your vocal cord?
Most of the time when I'm starting a new book, I get a lot of my ideas when I'm driving, so I speak them into my phone. So yeah, I can write with them. I can write that way.
Writing or speaking? Select one.
If I had to choose one, it would be writing.
Okay. And which one creates more impact?
What a great question. I think speaking actually creates more impact because it's more alive, it's more current, it's right there. And I've made all of my books into audiobooks, so that can be as powerful as, to me, I think an audiobook or a movie is more powerful than a regular written book. That's just me, though.
You have a good voice.
Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully my audiobooks, I mean, people do like my audiobooks, and hopefully I do have a good voice for that.
If it is necessary for you to put abusive words in your stories, will you put?
Would I put what in there?
Abusive words.
Amusing or?
My question is, if it is important for you to put abusive words in your story, will you put abusive words? Yeah.
I have a few, but I mean, they're not in there just to be in there. They're part of the story.
Yeah, that is what I'm asking. Will you put or not?
Yeah.
Okay. So, are you good? Are you good singer?
Am I? If I'm in the 90s with writing, I would put me maybe in the 70s with singing. Not a great singer. How about you? Are you a good singer?
I'm good speaker.
You are a good speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a writer before. I have 3 websites in which I used to write a lot about the present situations. If I see something, we are talking like this. If I understand something from this conversation, I'll go and open my website and I'll start writing, explaining the situation and what you are saying and what I'm saying. I just love to project this. I'm a writer, so that is why the reason I connected with your. I'm not professional like you. I don't spend a lot of time in observing, you know. I didn't took that as a profession, but I love writing. I love explaining things. But you are the person who will be writing by spending a lot of time in observing things and going deeper into it, and to make people to understand it clearly, you have to put a lot of mental and physical energy of yours.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere you can give 2 or 3% in you.
Yeah.
So what do you think about sound?
Songs?
Sound. Yeah.
I think it's very powerful. I'm a visual person, so it's kind of funny that I ended up being a writer, although I do describe the visual things very well. I'm also a filmmaker, speaking of the visual aspect. So, and films combine sight and sound. I think they're the most powerful forms of communication we have.
Can you attack people with your words?
Yeah, people can. Yeah, they
Okay.
do it all the time. Some people do.
Will you attack people with your words?
Me? No.
Yeah.
Well, I can't say never. I mean, I've gotten into a fight with a few people, but not as a general way of living. No, not nowhere near it.
I'm asking this question because you are a writer, you'll be collecting a lot of words which can create impact when you throw out from your vocal cord, using your vocal cord. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
Do you have anything to say to my audience?
Well, thank you for having me, and it's a delight to be here. And one of the things about being an author is our books are our gifts, and we love to give our gifts to the world, and some people love to receive them. So I hope your audience is among that group.
How old are you?
How old am I? I'm old. I'm old. How old do you think I
Because
am?
I don't have any idea.
59.
59. You don't look like 59.
I don't feel 59 either.
Yeah.
I look in the mirror, or I'm working out or doing anything, and I think 59. What in the world? Yeah. No.
You look so young.
I always have. I'm very grateful for it now. Well, I've been grateful for it for years.
Okay. I thought to ask you a lot of questions. Do you have anything to ask as a writer?
To ask you,
Yeah.
um, what makes you do this? It's such a fun thing to interview people from all over the world. I love that you do it. And what made you start doing it?
Uh, I thought that a human can connect with any human on this planet if he wants to with the medium called language. And here in Indian companies, when I went to for an interview, they rejected me for not having a good communication skills. So I thought that I started writing. I started writing, then I improved my communication skills. Then I thought to start speaking. Then I started speaking. Then I started connecting with. I thought to talk with every country person who is living in different. I mean, who is living in different parts of the world. I want to talk. Then I want to know whether I can connect with them or not. You are listening to me. You are understanding my words. That means I'm successful in expressing, and I'm successful in creating emotion and uh, impact on your thinking.
Mm.
So I am doing that, and I completed 70 videos in last 60 days. So my target is to do 4,000 videos.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
great. That's
I want
one
to.
connecting the
Yeah,
whole world.
yeah. I have completed more than 25 country people. I saw the world map in the morning, and world contains maybe 190 plus countries, and so I want to put 190 countries in my YouTube channel.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's really wonderful. I've been to 75 countries. I've, I've been
Okay.
to a lot of countries and all 50 states in the US. And a while back, I traveled the world interviewing people from all walks of life about how we can make world peace. And that was one of the honors of my lifetime. That was two of my trips to India were for that movie. Oh.
when you came to India, people in India connected with you, or
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love going to India. I love your country.
okay. So you said you have traveled all the I mean a lot of countries. So what is the difference that you observed?
Um, the main thing about the whole world is most people want the same thing: peace, happiness, that their children are more successful than they are, um, that we leave the world a better place than we found it. I think most people want that. So that was my biggest discovery when I traveled. Um, and there are wonderful people and not so wonderful people everywhere. You can't say, oh, the United States is all bad, because we're all, we have fabulous people and we have awful people here. And every country is like that. And I think the awful people are that way because of fear. Um, and or the way they were raised, like that book that just came out about Donald Trump. He was raised in a really toxic environment with a lot of fear and hate. So that's how he turned out this way. And another person could be in that same environment and come out the opposite, saying this. I mean, it could push them in a totally different direction to do more good in the world. And he does think he's doing good in the world. But somebody else would really be doing good in the world, I think, coming through that environment, depending on their point of view and take on life.
Okay, if I get a chance to uh, see your mind, how many words I can search in your mind? I can get in your mind.
Hundreds of thousands. I don't even know how many words are in the English language, but most of them would be floating through my head in any given day. I have such a busy mind.
What is your memory? Will you remember everything that you see and listen?
I hope so. I hope so. I have a very good memory. I remember lots of things throughout my whole life, and people I've seen, places I've gone and stuff. And I do hope I hold on to that memory for the rest of my life. My brother just died. He was older than I am, and he had lost his memory over the last few years. He had a degenerative neurological disease, and he couldn't remember things. And it was so sad. He was so vibrant and powerful and full of love and light and laughter and life. And that is one of my biggest wishes, hopes, that I do remember till I take my last breath.
Your husband is watching this video. Uh, I want you to show your love to him using your words, your own words.
Oh, well, there's a song by Gladys Knight called "You're the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me." And you are really the best thing that ever happened to me. I love you with all my heart. That-
Thank you. Thank you
Good
so much
say.
for, yeah, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Thank you so much for giving your valuable time to me and telling about a lot of things that you have experienced and that about your books and about writing and about some things. I tried to capture your thoughts, few thoughts of yours. I feel very proud to put this in my channel. Can I use this recorded video to put in my channel with your
Sure.
permission?
Sure. Absolutely.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Thanks. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
You too. Bye bye.